Tampa Bay Lightning have entered prestigious category here with the Pittsburgh Penguins as the only two teams in the 2000s, I guess you should say, to win back-to-back Stanley Cups. And they might be primed to win a third if you think about it. But before we get that far, let's just appreciate this for what it is. How difficult to not only win back-to-back titles, but to do so in such strange circumstances. Last season with the bubble going on up in Edmonton, no fans. Now this year, all the COVID protocols and everything. So considering everything, which do you think was the more difficult cup run?
I got to think last year had to be one of the most difficult things the guys have ever been through. To ask them to go through 60 days in a bubble and to grind it out and play in front of no fans when you just saw how critical fans really are to the games. For me, that one was more difficult, Billy.
I believe the first one as well, trying to get them, learn. And once you get there, those instincts come back, the feelings, the pressure. But doing it without the fans coming back is a big thing. To do it there on neutral ice and trying to create your own energy, and then you got swept by Columbus the year before and you came out. That helped them, though. They won that first series against Columbus, put the demons behind them, then got back on track. But winning that first Stanley Cup has always got to be the toughest to win, to go through it. And they didn't have Steven Stamkos. They had Steven Stamkos this year.
As hockey players, we practice all the time in quiet arenas. We're conditioned to do that every day, all throughout the summer, whatever it is. So to actually play a championship like that had to be a very bizarre feeling for the players. And you have to give both teams that ended up, Dallas and Tampa, a lot of credit for just grinding through and making it such a great final a year ago.
You guys are
the little extra play-in, too, to get.
The qualifying round.
Stuff,
Billy, you mentioned that Columbus round, and it's just amazing because you think 2 years ago getting swept after a historic regular season and then the Lightning fall in 4 games to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So when we look at these last 2 years, what do you think the most impressive win series-wise was, Lots?
Last 2 years for me, I think the New York Islanders, this year, gave the Tampa Bay Lightning all they could handle. And I felt like I was confident in Tampa in that Game 7, and yet it was a Game 7. Like, who's kidding who? Tampa showed up, locked it down the way they have in previous elimination games, and they were really dominant. But I still think that series as a whole was a challenge. The Islanders showed incredible resiliency, and they did it, you know, in a little bit of a different way. They don't have the star power that Tampa has, but they have the team power. They have that all-in mentality that Barry Trotz and Lou Lamoriello absolutely demand of their players and their teams. That, to me, was the most difficult.
For me, it was that first round series, and I got to call it against the Florida Panthers. And that first playoff game that they played was explosive. And it was first time in 27 years that these two teams met in the playoffs, and they did not like each other after facing each other 8 times during the course of the regular season. Once the playoffs started, there was a lot of visceral between these two teams and dislike, and it continued on. And the Panthers took some costly penalties at times. Sam Bennett got suspended for 1 game. The Panthers had to use 3 goaltenders. Vasilevsky, the rock that he is, played every single game. But if the Panthers got some saves at the right time and didn't take too many penalties, stayed out of the penalty box, the power play for Tampa Bay was just red hot. And Roel Kucherov comes back, and that power play, they moved the puck. I was just zipping it, but it was tough, and they got pushed, and it was very physical. And the hype for the first time for those two teams meeting in Florida was really good for the state of Florida and the game of hockey. It was an electrifying series, but the Panthers pushed them right to the edge, even with using 3 goaltenders.
Yeah, that Sunshine State rivalry has never been healthier, and they'll be right back in the same division again next year, so it's only going to get better. We cannot wait.